Helping people is what I'm all about. Just don't expect any good results.
You gotta steady back home because my exquisite derriere might make you say otherwise.
Don't expect me to fight the power without creating a scene.
So I'm a merge environment gameplay / puzzles together as one category because they kind of go hand in hand. So let's start. We can pick. There's only really three locations. We can start with, I guess, the house and how we feel about that. You've already, Tina, said how you felt about the decor.
To be honest, my opinion is the same for both original and remastered. They didn't change much except for like removing one location. But so there's no point in going into each location because they haven't changed much except that I noticed
Yeah.
in the original Secret Kikyo you can use these wall phones, like phones on the wall. And
Yes.
it gave me prison vibes. Like, oh, you want to use the phone? You gotta get in line. Like, you got 15 minutes only. Then you gotta go back in line. You only have like this day to use the phone. This is how it felt like because you know how prison is like. There's like phone booths like everybody's in line. This is how it felt like when Nancy put the coin in the phone. It's just like was talking there. It felt very reminiscent. I don't remember in remastered if they had wall phones, but she had a cell phone, so she didn't use a wall phone. But I don't remember whether.
Yeah, she was give it a cell phone. Based off of my opinion on the environment as a whole, I hated the school so much. I hated navigating it. I hated playing in it. It made me not want to play because I'd get lost. I don't know how anyone else felt, but when they remastered it, I was like, you couldn't have fixed this. And I didn't even play the original. I watched other people play, and then I played the remastered, and I was like, why? Why didn't you improve on this a little bit? Because I feel like you're just going in circles.
Personally, I didn't feel lost in the school, but I know that in the original or the remastered, I'm not sure, but there's a map at the entrance and you can use it to teleport.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I
Wait,
don't remember
really?
which one.
Oh my god. I never knew that.
I'm mad. If it's in the remastered, I'm going to be so pissed because I hated navigating that because I'd always get turned around. And I have ADHD, so it's like I don't know where I'm going half the time in real
I
life.
didn't discovered myself. I didn't
Hey, it could be-
discovered myself. I was watching Argofon doing his like 2020 marathon, like the game, and he used it. I was like, what? Wait, did he just teleport?
So recent.
Did he just teleport?
Recent.
So,
Jade, it could be worse. They could have like copied the Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake template and just put it over the school template, and
oh
you're just
no.
like, it's just stuck like in a high school, just like in a maze of hallways.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know.
I agree with you. The high school could have been a little bit better in terms of what they had. I mean, there was no cafeteria. There was no it was a very small school, and in terms of like what they had, there just wasn't not even like signs for it or anything. Like it was just a it was a very small school, and maybe that was what they were going for, but I don't know. Like in terms of like layout, they definitely could have made the layout a little bit nicer in the remaster. Another thing too is in the original, the school was in its own disc. This was a 2-disc game.
It was.
And if you wanted to go to the school, you had to switch discs. And then I think the diner and Aunt Eloise's house were one disc of their own of its own. But yeah, I always hated having to switch discs to go to the school.
I don't remember how did Jake die in the remaster. Like, how did he get killed? Do you remember? Is it the same? He got pushed.
It's the
So
same.
there is a second floor. Was there like stairs in the remaster? I don't remember.
I just had this
You're
thought
right.
process. I was literally sitting here going, wait, where are the
In
stairs?
the original one,
That's a good point.
you could see the stairs. I don't remember in the remastered version.
I don't think you see the stairs in the
I
remaster.
don't remember stairs.
You're right. We
anywhere.
don't even see the crime
Yeah, so
scene.
I'm having a
the
moment.
original, you can see the stairs. They are there,
Good
but
point.
you cannot go up. So I was like, oh, the rest of the school is upstairs, but you cannot access it for whatever reason. But remastered, they had no excuse. They had the budget.
You're right. They could have easily have made a crime scene.
I mean, they also could have redone the whole school, but didn't. So,
That too. That too. They could have redone
as
everything.
someone who's only played the remastered because I couldn't find the original, like there were no stairs. I'm having a moment. Like there weren't any, and like they easily could have kept it or something. There's just a lot they could have done, like especially since it's a remastered. It kind of just feels like they upgraded the characters, upgraded the graphics, but kept everything the same and added a character nobody likes.
It makes me wonder if they're like, okay, can you both think of like, besides Nancy Drew, can you both think of like another series that's beloved and where their first game was remastered? Do you think the Nancy Drew community would have been angry if Her Interactive did a complete like revamp of A Secrets Can Kill, like where they did change everything, or do you think the community wouldn't have cared either way?
I don't know, because like based off of like how I feel, there probably would have been people upset. There's always going to be people that are upset about things that are changed because people don't like change. A lot of people don't like change. But like for me, based off of like just like gameplay and like my knowledge on like designing games, I'm like, why wouldn't you want to better the game to like make it like easier for like I don't know. We also have to take into
Agreed.
fact that this is 2010 and now like what the games they're doing now and like after this one they've changed even from that.
Good point.
Like the newer games after that one, like navigating wise, are better.
I agree with Jade. There are always going to be some people who are going to complain, but I feel like personally, I believe that if it was a better game, they would have complained much. There will be like one or two people, but the majority will be like, oh, yes, a better game than the first one. They would
Mhm.
have welcomed it, in my opinion. From their understanding, if they in their mind are like a remastered version should just be like the same game but playable, updated and stuff like that, then yes, they will be happy. Personally, I'm not happy about it because it like why is the remastered even a thing? Like it didn't do anything better. It's just like making it playable for the audience now. With Windows 7, Windows 10, now they can play it. That's it. Like you changed some stuff here and there. It didn't do much. But in this sense that yes, I do believe that if they changed everything but they made it a lot better, people wouldn't have complained as much. That's what I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think that they probably could have redid everything. Like Jade, like you were saying, like remodeled the school, remodeled the diner, remodeled Aunt Eloise's, changed the map screen. I mean, they literally kept the same map screen. They didn't even make the high school look like a high school. And when I was streaming Secrets Can Kill, I even made a comment about how there's no football field. Hulk plays football, but there's not even a football field on the map anywhere. Like, I'm like, did they play football in Aunt Eloise's house? Because the house is literally right behind behind the high school. So you're right. They probably could have done more, and they didn't. They just kind of darkened some of the 3D environments and made them look more
Now
HD.
that someone says, "Hey, I want to play a high school game, nice video game. Do you have that?" They will refer to Waverly Academy because Waverly Academy gave what they were supposed to give. They did what they were
Mhm.
supposed to
Oh,
do, which is
100%.
high school. It's
Mm-hmm.
high school. It is boarding
Yes.
school, yes, but it's a high school.
100%.
So nobody cares about Secrets Get Kill anymore. Nobody. You didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, they could have done so much more in my opinion, but I also see why they didn't because it is kind of along the lines of they're just remastering it, and in their brain they're like, we want to update it for those who can't play it. Like I can think of a series that does remasters, Assassin's Creed and Skyrim. Like they're always like updating them to work on newer systems. Like how many times has Skyrim come out on a different console every time a new one comes out?
Which is so interesting because then why add Detective Beach?
Yeah, it's like you added in a new character, you got rid of the original culprit, and you changed the ending and you updated the graphics. Because we have to remember the endings are different.
Oh, speaking of graphics, Daryl. I just want to say some thoughts for Daryl. Daryl, I am so sorry, honey. I know you're not my favorite character, but you didn't deserve it. I will be thinking of you. I will be mourning you. I am so sorry for what her interactive did to you because you, like, even though you did all of this, you didn't deserve it. And I'm so sorry on behalf of her interactive.
They did Hal better. Like if you think about it,
Yeah,
like Hal looks good.
Yeah.
Daryl
he does.
does not.
I feel so. I mean, when I was streaming it, we kept referring to Daryl as that 3D model.
And they did Hulk good too. Like even he looks really good.
Connie.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Connie
they did.
looks good as well. Like
Yeah.
everybody looked good. Even Detective Beach looked like a person. Daryl was made
Yeah, that's a
by
good point.
someone who showed up drunk at work.
With that hair, man, that hair. He looks older than he should be. They all
Yeah, he looks
look
like
older than they should be, honestly.
it's like that joke where where like actors that are way older than high school age get cast for roles. I could definitely see that going on here.
It really is like the way they're dressed, and the only one who really looks like a high schooler is Sanchez because of a
Yeah,
football
good point.
jersey, and that's about it.
I even made a joke where I'm like, is this the GED program or are these just adults returning? Like, what is this?
Exactly. All right. I guess we can go into how we feel about the puzzles and things like that.
Exactly what puzzles? Because all I can remember are decoding bullshit messages on walls.
Reach.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
And oh my gosh.
Exactly where are the puzzles? Even though in remastered they added puzzles, they added some puzzles, it wasn't still like it wasn't still it. They should have changed it. They should have removed the whole shit. Okay? And just did actual puzzles. But no, they kept in the remastered version they kept the decoding stuff on walls. And which by the way, if I didn't have the observations in the remastered version, I would have screamed.
So true.
Thank God for the observations. They would like automatically put the codes in here. We didn't have to touch a piece of paper. But goddamn, they should have changed all of that. Because the gameplay sucks. The
Yeah.
puzzle sucks. Even in the remastered version, this ain't it. This ain't it.
I got some tea real quick. Which has hang on, I gotta think of how to phrase this. Comparing the remastered and Secrets and Kill as a whole to Midnight in Salem, which has more puzzles.
Okay, so this is okay. I have.
Oh my
I'm gonna
god.
say this.
That's
I'm
great.
gonna
Good
say
point.
this. I know that we love people love to shit on Midnight Salem, but they had puzzles, better puzzles than this game. I'm just gonna say it. This is my tea.
Yeah, I can agree with Tina here. I agree with you, Tina. It's Midnight in Salem attempted to have puzzles
Exactly.
where secrets can kill. Yeah, it was more ambiguous when it
They
with
were
the
all at the
puzzles.
end. They were more concentrated towards the end of the
Yeah.
game, but they were there. They were there. They were giving puzzles. Not secrets can kill.
I just had to
Um,
make that connection real quick because I know there's a
that
lot
was
of
a great connection, Jade.
tea and shade towards Midnight in Salem about the puzzles, and
We need like the RuPaul shade sound effect.
I I was like, we could work on that.
There is one thing I did really, really like with Secrets Can Kill Remastered that I don't think was present in the original. If there's one thing I love about adventure games, especially mysteries, is the idea of being crafty and like kind of one-upping, like trying to like do something a little bit ambiguous, like morally ambiguous to kind of like get to what you need. In Secrets Can Kill Remastered, Nancy purposely sabotages a vending machine to get Connie to leave the hallway so that she can break into the teacher's lounge. I thought that was a very masterful way to do that, and I don't know if the original did that, but I loved that. I thought that was awesome, and I loved seeing Nancy be more edgy. I loved Nancy being more crafty to kind of figure stuff out like that. Like, oh, the vending machine broke again for the 10th time. Can you go fix it for me? And then we're breaking into the teacher's lounge. I thought that was a very, very like a very good puzzle, and I love seeing puzzles like that. And Her Interactive, they started doing more of that in the newer Nancy Drew games after that, where they were trying to make Nancy be so like innocent, where it's like, oh, this broke, you mind go checking it out for me? And then she goes and snoops. That to me was a very good example of a puzzle. But yeah, Tina, like you were saying, a lot of the puzzles in this game were just so ambiguous.
The original one, you didn't trigger the vending machine. You would go outside. You had a tool. I don't remember how you got the tool. Would you go to the window
window,
in the
isn't
teacher
it?
from the teacher's house, and you would use the tool to like do a hole in the window, and you would go inside.
Oh, really? They
Yeah.
really changed a lot of it then.
Let's say there were still teachers there. Like, who would like come in and be like, "Wait, what the fuck? Why is there a hole in the window?" Like, like some
The thing
Catwoman just came in and just traced like a circle and just took out a hole and then just opened the window. What the heck? And like, so I feel like they did it that way because it was more
It's so
subtle.
true.
Yeah, the fact that there's no one in the teacher's lounge or whatever that is, so there's computers and things like that, but like, there's no one in there when there really should be if school's in session, unless now, even if it was after school, there would still be someone, I guess, in there potentially, but I guess not. Maybe this is supposed to be like after school and they're all just hanging out after school and like no adults are there.
You know, and it's funny because in the original, they didn't even use 3D graphics yet. They could have easily have drawn like crowds of students just hanging out in the hallway. Well, I wonder if it would have taken up much memory or anything. I mean, hey, the school was on its own disc,
Yeah, I was about to
okay?
say that.
Yeah, they could have done it, okay?
Hi, it's Tina again from editing. Sorry for the disruption again. So turns out that our recording bot lost the audio for this specific part, which sucks, but it happens. You didn't miss much though. Basically, Kate was telling about her frustration with having to check all the bulletin board, and I was basically threatening to bring Jake back to life so I could just murder him again for making us go through this. So sorry again for this. It was Craig's fault, the recording bot. Thanks a lot, Craig. But yeah, back with the show.
That is so true though. It was so frustrating. And then like the final puzzle, oh my gosh, how we had to tie it to the periodic table of elements. And then from there we had to move a certain number of like spaces on the Greek alphabet and do
One thing that I haven't mentioned, like that I thought was cool, I will give 1 point to Remastered. I like that they added all the previous books from the previous games. I like that.
oh yeah. That was cool.
Yeah, so I'll give him a point there. Like, I loved all the Easter eggs. If we were playing the drinking game right now while playing the remaster version, like we would be drinking so much because one of my rules is to drink each time it's a reference to a previous game. I would be so lit.
Yeah.
So far
I'm
gone.
lit now.
Well, this is also the 80th anniversary for Nancy Drew games, like for the
True.
Nancy Drew books. So that explains why they had all the books in there as a little tribute. So yeah, that explains why the remastered would get us so
That is so true though. I mean, the number of references they had in this game was crazy. It was amazing seeing all the references, and not even just that, but like the fan art. I mean, so cool.
lots of
Yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
cool. Tina, you made a good point too, like how especially with your rage about wanting to re-kill Jake. Going back to my original points about how her interactive had a chance here to really just because a character is dead doesn't mean we still can't get to know that character. And I really wish they could have done something with Jake where like we got to know him through audio diaries or something. I feel like there was a missed potential here. Like I said, like it was the 90s. Like why not do cassette tapes? Why not do like a 13 Reasons Why scenario? Um, or like he recorded VHS tapes. Why not have like VHS tapes scattered throughout the school? And it gives the whole idea of like Aunt Eloise's like big TV in her house like more of a reason to use it. I think unfortunately they just didn't. I think they just missed the mark there on the remaster. I mean, obviously in the original, they probably couldn't have done that for various reasons, but for the remaster, I think it would have been great to see for us to get to know Jake and for him to kind of reveal his thought process for like maybe what he was going on in his life, why he felt the need to blackmail, and so on and so forth. I think that would have been um, really interesting, and then maybe also have him like also low key like hide what he's doing. I don't know. I think that would have been really interesting to have him kind of like do that for us and also maybe give us hints to the puzzles. I don't know.
I totally agree. It makes me like think back to because it is based off of that book. I can't remember a lot from the book. It's gonna make me want to reread it to see what they took from it and what they used to come up like with Jake's character. Like, was there all that added stuff that we wanted that they could have potentially used, or did they kind of have to work with what they had and decided not to like explore it further like how you're describing like makes me want to go back and read.
Yeah, let us know. Another thing I wanted to bring up too is I'm a part of the Nancy Drew Facebook community. I know there must be multiples, but I definitely am a part of one of them. And
Mm.
someone posted a newspaper clipping of The Secrets Can Kill when it came out. Like someone posted a newspaper clipping of a review that someone wrote back in the 90s, and it was a really cool article because they interviewed her interactive employee, I think, and they were saying that when they were developing Secrets Can Kill, the original, they would like send out surveys to people, and they were asking women because video game PC games back then were not like as prevalent, and they were interviewing lots of women, and they were saying like their surveys, what do you want to see in a detective game? Unfortunately, the newspaper article did not reveal a lot of the results from that data, but it makes me wonder if coded messages or something may have been a popular answer, and maybe that's why her interactive at the time tried to do more like decoding messages and more stuff like that, and less on the like actual puzzle side of things. But I thought that was a very interesting article from that Facebook group that they were surveying people, they were surveying women and asking them like, what do you want to see in your game if you were to play a detective game that centered on Nancy Drew or something? And that I wonder if like that was one of the more popular answers.
Oh wow, I'm also part of that Facebook community and I did see that. It was really interesting. And also the people that they surveyed are not valid. Just say they are not valid at all. Whoever said we want coded messages, get out of here. Get out of here.
Like this is also going back off of the fact that a lot of those women would have been the women growing up reading the Nancy Drew books, watching the Nancy Drew TV series in the 70s. Like my mom, so like she grew up watching the Hardy Boys and the Nancy Drew TV series from like her childhood, like 70s, 80s, or I can't remember what exactly year, but like so like watching those TV shows, they would have had like decoding messages and like not much puzzles. So you also have to think about like the women who like were like reading the books and watching the TV shows and like what they liked and would like to see. And it probably was decoding messages, honestly.
And it's kind of funny too because Tina has a point too. I mean, in Stay Tuned for Danger, I mean, which you'll probably talk about in a future like episode, but they did do more puzzles in Stay Tuned for Danger. So they definitely went the more like fantastical approach as the games continued on. But like you were saying, Jade, it's definitely is interesting that they were for at least for the first game in the series, they went the decoding route with the decoded messages and all that and all that kind of stuff. Um, could they have done better by remastered? I mean, if they had the opportunity to bring in Detective Beach, they probably could have given us more puzzles to work with. Definitely. I agree with you, Tina. Like, there could have been so many ways that they could have given us more puzzles to work with. I mean, by this point, do you all know like what game they were on? I mean, Secrets Can Kill Remastered. I mean, before that was what, Trail the Twister? So they had plenty of opportunities to like copy puzzles from previous games, like
Mhm.
put a new art style on it and just add new stuff to it. I mean, so it is kind of shocking that they didn't do that. They didn't add more puzzles.
Sorry, I found an article just now saying that there are over 75 cryptic codes in the original Secrets Can Kill
Uh,
Wow.
and almost 200 hidden clues.
no. I'm sorry. I don't care about finding out about you, Jake. Like it's your secret codes. You can keep it.
Yeah, and then for the remastered, they did add more puzzles.
I mean, they did
But
that. I'll give them that. Honestly, though, I will keep my final judgment towards the end. But really, like, I feel like I haven't said much positive things about any of these games until now. I feel so bad, but this is how we're starting.
well, I don't know. Do we have anything else we want to say about the environment, the gameplay, the puzzles, any other thoughts?
Oh, I want to say, give Nancy a gun.
Yes.
Like, I mean, why doesn't they see Carrie? Like, of all the people who should be carrying, it should be her. Like, have you seen her like doing these missions, solving these mysteries, and all of that? Like, she's the most person in danger. Like, I mean, why is she still doing?
So
She
true.
doesn't even have a pepper spray.
Yeah, she would benefit so much from like having stuff, especially because she's been through as many cases as she has. Like you're right, like a flashlight, pepper spray, a taser, like something.
Yeah, cause like this guy, Augustine had this gun on her. Like, if she had a gun, she could have been like, "Well, we're at this
Yeah,
standpoint,
right.
like in the office, we're at this standstill."
Oh my god. Now I'm just imagining Nancy like holding a rifle or like a shotgun or something. Like say that again, Detective Beach, Uncle Steve. I'll give you the code to the safe.
Good thing that he was dumb, cause you could say pie 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 like 3 times. He would like do the same code like 3 times, even though he knows that it's the wrong one. He would still do it. He's that dumb. So good thing that he's dumb, cause then he could have died.
Yeah.
That is so true. I was crying laughing when I saw that you could repeat the same combination. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, why? That could have been a puzzle. You're right. You're right though. You're right though. Like I now Tina, I think you made a good point though. Like if they were trying to portray Detective Beach as someone like you were saying that's dumb, then it would have made perfect sense to keep it the way it was. That he wasn't always thinking ahead. He's not always like that. That's a good point, and definitely a very good observation there. That he did make a lot of mistakes too. He did. I mean, why even bring Nancy to begin with, or why even like if you're trying to cover up a murder, like why even have Nancy definitely, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of definitely issues with the story, and I know we kind of already talked about that, but going back to like gameplay impressions for its time, Secrets Can Kill definitely was a great introduction to the Nancy Drew games in terms of like gameplay. I mean, this was the first game that involved like, I mean, think about games similar to Nancy Drew at the time. Myst. I don't know if either of you played Myst.
I have played Myst that I gave up pretty quickly.
Like this was so in terms of gameplay, not only did we have like an environment to explore, but we had characters to talk to. Um, so I think in terms of gameplay, this definitely changed the game a bit for games in the market because we had a game that involved actual suspects, actual. So I do have to give her interactive credit for releasing a game like this in the '90s and also appealing to female audiences. I remember in that newspaper article, the person that wrote the article was very skeptical about even playing the game and because they were like, why should we like why what like the article was very very like negative at first about playing video games. And then when the woman that played the game Secrets Can Kill, like when she played it, she mentioned that she was like up all night and that she couldn't stop playing it and that she was like immersed into this school world. So I think it's really cool that her interactive at the time for this game, really created like an immersive world. And Jade, like you were saying, all the clues and the puzzles. The internet back in the day like wasn't as powerful or strong as it was. So being able to like go into a game like Secrets Can Kill in the '90s, I would imagine of this to have been a very powerful experience for a lot of women, especially because that's the audience Her Interactive was catering to. I feel like this game probably empowered lots of women and made them feel like detectives, made them feel like Nancy Drew, being in her shoes. It's up to you as Nancy Drew. So I think from a gameplay standpoint, I mean, it definitely, I could see how coded messages definitely could have been a very like easy, powerful thing to do. But if you're gonna go back, but since we're also talking about the remaster, it didn't age well.
Oh,
And they definitely could have Her Interactive I think should have seen that and maybe should have changed a little bit in terms of like character puzzles and gameplay in general. I mean there's so many things they could have done. Jade, like you were saying, redesigning the high school,
yeah.
making it look a little bit different. Tina, like you were saying too, the frustration with the decoding and all that and all those clues. There's so many ways they could have made that easier or made that more intuitive, a more natural way to find the clues instead of going to every bulletin board in the school finding a random slip about advertisements for a class club or something and then seeing like a little underlined letter. I mean, it makes you made a joke about re-killing Jake again. I mean, that's how I felt too. It's like, did Jake have the time to do this? Like, seriously?
I don't have much else to add on environment gameplay, the puzzles. It definitely was for its time advertising to women. That's like a huge thing because back then games weren't really doing that. So women weren't like they weren't like catering to women. So that's what I've always loved about Her Interactive and Nancy Drew games is that like it kind of helped bring women into the gaming community. My question for you, Kate, is how do you feel playing games that are more catered towards women, like in your like I don't know how to phrase that, but if you get where I'm going with it, like
You mean like being a cisgendered male playing games
yes.
meant for women?
Yeah.
So my personal experience with the Nancy Drew games, I played these games in third grade, and I'm 27, so when my first experience with Nancy Drew, I think Danger on Deception Island was coming out, but I was on Message in a Haunted Mansion, so I was like working my way through them. But I will say, as my exposure to these games, it wasn't just me finding it at the store. It was me going to a friend's house and his sister was playing it. And when I first watched the game, I had my skepticism at first because I'm like I mean, being a boy, you're especially in that time frame, back in the early 2000s, you know, you would do things that other boys did. Like, we play like, more Nintendo games or more like, like Super Smash Brothers or Mario or, games that involve more like violence, like fighting, aggression, stuff like that. And then here comes this Nancy Drew game that like hits the brakes on the aggression and the violence and really forces you to think and really forces you to solve puzzles, but with a little like with minor like fun like whimsical stuff. Like for example, we know we're talking about Secrets Can Kill, but like in Message in a Haunted Mansion, dropping the chandelier to cause the game over. But yeah, I mean, I think what made the Nancy Drew games so enticing as a boy playing the games growing up is that, and Secrets Can Kill does a really good job with this too, by the way. Have you ever both like were growing up and you always thought to yourselves like, oh, how cool would it be to be an adult and go to the teacher's lounge, like growing up in school? Or like, imagine working and like especially where a lot of the Nancy Drew game locations take place, they put you in scenarios where you get to go and do things that you wouldn't necessarily be allowed to do in real life, like go to off limits areas or like snoop through things or like, get in trouble potentially, but doing things you wouldn't normally do. And I think that whole like risky stuff going on here because you're a detective, because you're like in terms of pursuing a truth, I think that's what made the Nancy Drew games so exciting because there were no other games out there like Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew was a whole like category of its own, and that's what brought me into the games. The fact that they were so different than any game like it. There wasn't really a lot of games at all like this for boys growing up. So I mean, for me going into these games, it was definitely a very eye-opening experience, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with Nancy Drew. I think one of the biggest struggles with being a boy going into these games is that one of the thing, like, I mean, even my little cousins are like, it's even prevalent today, is the idea of empathy, the idea of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And if you're a boy, sometimes it might be hard to put yourself into a girl's shoes, and and to be like to have that level of empathy or have that level of imagination. And I think it's great that the Nancy Drew games all that they did that, because like their tagline is it's up to you as Nancy Drew. And I really love that the games give the opportunity for female players to be Nancy Drew, but also for male players to go in, either as kids or as adults, and to jump into this world where, like this isn't Tomb Raider, this isn't like Lara Croft or something where it's like this overly sexualized scenario here. This is a real detective game where you're playing as a female character and you're trying to solve the mystery, and you really feel like you're this character in this living, breathing world. And being a kid, like it really teaches you about like the imagination side of it, the empathy side of it, being able to put yourself into a girl's shoes. And I think it really, was a very impactful experience for me growing up. And not only that, but like it got me into programming, it got me into computer science, it got me into so many things. I remember reading an article online that more women out there today are going into like harder fields, like being doctors, being engineering, compared to men. Like the number of women it's like going into these fields is higher, and less men are going into these fields. So I think it's also great that like it's great to see that I mean, then one of the things in Nancy Drew games I think also teach people in general, and this is just all audiences, these games really do force you to read. They force you to um I know that sounds really stupid, but like all my friends growing up never read cutscenes. None of my friends ever liked to read anything. When I started playing Nancy Drew and I started having to like read stuff, I would go and read everything. I would go back into my games and read things, and my friends would make fun of me that I was reading and not skipping cutscenes or something. And if there's one thing I love about the Nancy Drew games, it's that it's yeah, they were catered towards women, but I love that it really teaches you a lot of things, and not just like putting yourself into a woman's shoes, but also like empathy, or also like just puzzle solving and conversation and social stuff, and like just so many things. Like I think there were just so many benefits to these games that people don't see from the front of it. I mean, does that answer the question, Jade?
Yeah, that was a great answer. I'm so glad you understood where I was getting at, because I really was curious, because being in this community, I've mostly only come across women. So like I was so curious how like your experience with the
The
Nancy
struggle
Drew
too was trying
franchise.
to tell my parents as a third grade kid that I wanted to play the Nancy Drew games, and they were like, "Isn't that a game for girls?"
Mhm.
That was definitely a struggle for me.
Hi, it's Tina again from editing. Sorry again for interrupting. Upon editing, I decided to delete my whole segment and to re record here in post editing. And the reason why I'm doing this is because listening to myself was unbearable. I had a big allergy reaction. My nose were clogged. Also, I had trouble breathing, and my voice was very nasally, which is why I am doing this, because I spoke for a long time and I'm not about to let you guys sit through this. I will be repeating as closely as possible as what I said during the actual time of the recording, so don't worry, you're not missing much. What I basically said is that although toxic masculinity is still prevalent in today's society, it is not as weird to see men playing Nancy Drew games as it was 15 years ago. As Nancy Drew is getting into the mainstream, even though it's very niche, it is still niche, but it is getting more and more recognition. More and more men are playing these games. And all the big YouTubers, like most of them are male. On top of my head, I could recall Argo Fump, Hugh Miller from Nancy Drew walkthroughs. There is also Vote for Holt. And Nancy Drew Times also is a man, from what I know. I could be wrong, from what I know. There are also female YouTubers like Wizard Kitten or Boozy Broads or the Crowmeister sisters, although they are more Twitch streamers. But yeah, if you look at the numbers, the biggest Nancy Drew YouTuber is a dude. Not to shame any of the male YouTubers, I just find it fascinating that the biggest YouTubers in the Nancy Drew community are male, even though most of the players are female. But it really worked though in normalizing male gamers in the Nancy Drew community, in my opinion. I also said that I agree that the Nancy Drew games really inspired a lot of women about their career choices, especially in the STEM field, and I am proud to say that I am one of them. So I always recommend more people, men, women, non-binary people, to try out the Nancy Drew games. And even if it doesn't affect their career choices, it will help you out with developing your brain, your social skills, your thinking skills, your puzzle solving skills. And also, Nancy Drew herself is a big inspiration, and I think that the more people she rubs on, the better. And even if her interactive doesn't make games anymore, she still impacted me in a positive way. She still inspired me. She still holds a special place in my heart, and there is no replacing that. But yes, this is basically what I said during the recording, except I sounded nosy, so you're welcome. But yeah, back to the show.
Wow, Tina, that's amazing, and I'm really happy to hear that these games impacted you that way. And Jade, you too. I mean, as well. That's amazing. I mean, and that was her directive's goal all along.
Yeah.
So it's happy. It's great. It's really cool to hear that those games impacted you in those kinds of ways, and that it really made you feel like you could do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, especially dating back to the '90s, like in terms of the technology at the time, and just yeah. I mean, the stereotypes and everything. It's definitely really amazing that her interactive really made that their mission.
Yes. Now let's go back to trashing Secret Skate Kill.
Yes.
Before we do that, I just have one quick thing to say. I There was someone that I stream with, and it's a guy, and he's never heard of Nancy Drew before, other than like playing with me, or watching my streams. And I asked him to do a collaboration with me to stream Nancy Drew the Deadly Device, and he like dismissed it. He was just like thinking it would be easy. He was thinking it would just be, and when I showed him and did the collaboration with him, he was struggling with the puzzles. He was struggling with a lot of it. And when he finished the stream, and you can actually watch on YouTube, he even said it himself. He underestimated the difficulty of the puzzles, the just overall everything, and that going into it, he was expecting it to be, like easy and like and he admitted that he was very much underestimating the difficulty and the amount of um reading and just like the amount of like what it takes to really hone in and beat a Nancy Drew game, and he wants to play more of them. So that's the thing, like the Nancy Drew games, they have this magic to them that's so alluring, and I can't really put it into words, but maybe it's just love. Maybe it's just, I mean, the way Megan Geyser back in the day, the way she described her Nancy Drew games, like because she was the OG CEO, like there's no other games like these Nancy Drew games, and like there's just something about them that turns your head and just brings you into their world. And I'm just so happy that like being able to play these games again and being able to like increase awareness for these games for other men out there, and just in people for people in general. I mean, Nancy, more people are playing these games, so it's great for that awareness. And that's all I wanted to say. That it's really cool to see like that, being able to show other guys like just how like no, this is a really fun series of games, and they are difficult in their own way. And it's fun to see new fans come in like that, and like especially if they're guys too, and being able to show them like these are serious fun games that are difficult.
Amazing. I love seeing people being introduced to the games, like and playing for the first time. Like, and I
Yeah.
will agree that there's something magic about the SC Drew games. They collectively make everybody feel dumb.
That is so true.
Um, I not like in the same experience, but a couple weeks ago before the school year started, I babysitted my younger cousin. She's 9 for a week, and I actually introduced her to the Nancy Drew games. And she's still on the younger side where like she doesn't understand everything, so like I'd help her with the puzzles and things like that. But just kind of like that, going off of that idea of like introducing more people, like it like feels good to like like to show her like the younger generation what I grew up on, and like showing her like these fun games where like she can go to all these fun places. And she's so funny, she wanted to play the scariest game that I
Oh
had,
no.
and if you guess which one I picked, I'll give you a point. But I gave her the option of 2, and I kind of want to see if you have any ideas on which 2 I picked real quick before I reveal it, just for fun.
Okay. Tina, do you want to go or should I go?
Well, definitely Shadow War's Edge. Like, but like it's difficult for like a young person, but like she wanted something scary. And what is scarier than
That
this one?
that's a good idea, but
Oh,
no.
okay.
Oh man, scary Nancy Drew game. I mean, there are a lot of them. Some of them can come across as scary, like Curse of Blackmore Manor, like because of the dark passageways. But I mean,
Oh yeah,
scary.
Ethel is scary.
I described them to her. So I picked which ones were scary, and I described them to her. Shadow was like an option, or yeah, but she said no. So Curse of Blackmore was one option, but it wasn't the one she picked.
Okay, wait. Can I guess one more time? Ghost of
Yeah,
Thornton Hall.
no.
I see Haunted
Wow. Okay, that I
Mansion.
don't know.
She picked no. She picked Crystal Skull.
Oh wow.
Wow.
She thinks it's so scary.
That is so
Because
funny.
I showed her the trailer on Steam, and she thought it was the scariest one. So she went with
Aw.
that one, and the skeleton guy freaked her out. And then when we went into uh Renee Renee
Renee, yeah.
yeah, when we went into her bedroom and we looked at the wall and the lightning went off, she jumped.
You know what? I will say this. Yes, it is scary, especially if you're not into creepy dolls.
Yeah.
Yes, and if I saw the skeleton man in front of me, I would shit my pants. So I will say this: she's valid. She's valid.
She's 9. She thought the cemetery was really creepy, so that's why she picked it.
You know what? But more power to her though for having the courage to pick a Nancy Drew game like that. I mean, there's a lot of positives that could come from this. I mean, she has the courage to even sit with you and play that. So I mean, that's
For-
awesome.
We played for 2 days, and we still didn't beat it.
Hey, all those eyeballs, right? Gotta collect on a treasure hunt.
Yeah, I think we have like an hour left, but
And you know,
it's
you put
just
a really good point. Kids love to feel like they're adults, and I think Nancy
Mhm.
Drew games do a great job at doing that, at portraying that as well.
Yeah, she's 9. It's hard for her to like figure out some of the stuff in like especially in Crystal Skull, that graveyard puzzle and the puns. I'm like, she's not gonna get puns. So I pretended that I was helping her and like, you know, was like, this is leading her into it so she'd find the answers and feel really good about herself. But anybody would love to see that interaction, how excited she would get when she figured out puzzles with my help. But when I helped like walk her through the puzzles, she thought she did all of it on her own. She was such a big kid figuring out all these puzzles, and it like goes back to that feeling like an adult like thing that you were talking about. Like that's totally how she felt. Like she asked to play it the next day and we played again for like another 2 hours. Like
That is so cool.
I felt like such a big cousin introducing her to the game.
Lifetime fan now.
Yeah, she'll probably the next time she comes over be like, "Can we play that game?"
That's awesome.
Amazing.
I think we're finally at our final impressions.
Do we have anything to say about music?
Not
Oh, well.
really.
How about favorite song? What were your favorite songs?
I don't remember them.
The one that goes like.
That's how.
It was the only
There we go.
song I can remember.
Okay, I like that the Maxine's Diner had the jukebox, and I
Oh,
like that we
yeah.
could listen to the Phantom of Venice music from it.
So
That was-
what you're saying is that Phantom of Venice is your favorite song?
Doesn't even count.
Yes.
I'm like, I can't remember the music. I should have
What's your favorite
replayed
song
the
from the
game.
game? Phantom of Venice.
That's so funny. It's not even like the actual game music.
But yeah, that's my answer.
I guess my favorite one is the only one I can remember. That it plays the whole time while you're in high school. I guess that's it. There's nothing
And I can't
outstanding.
remember a
There's
single
nothing
one.
outstanding about the music. I feel like it did its
No.
job. It did its job. It was setting the tone. It was kind of nerve wracking.
ambient,
It was
yeah.
ambient. I have no thoughts about it.
It repeated itself.
Yeah.
One thing is that each location in the game had its own theme. Like Aunt Eloise's theme only played at Aunt Eloise's house, and so on and so forth. Like they all had their own little songs.
I can't even remember Aunt Eloise's theme. Like,
It's like the same piano thing, like over and over again. Like,
oh, I see.
Yeah,
Um,
it repeats.
yeah. But yeah, like you were saying, Tina, the music, Phantom of Venice.
There you go.
That's all I got.
I don't think we have much to say about the music, honestly. So we can we can move on to the overall final impressions and our overall rating of this game. Could rate it out of 10.
After this whole like beautiful speech about how the Nancy Drew games got us into whatever and made us who we are, it's still a no because this, to be honest, this game is not even the game that made me go into the Nancy Drew franchise. Like,
Same.
this game could have been written off and never existed. I would care less. All I'm gonna say is that Street Quest Kenki Original did fine maybe during 98. It did fine, which, by the way, now that I think about it, in my opinion, it started they started getting their footing at Message in the Haunted Mansion, which we're gonna talk about.
Yeah,
And
Mm-hmm.
totally agree with you.
Message in the Haunted Mansion came out in the 2000s, the year 2000. So what I was thinking is that maybe for Secret Skinky Original and Stay Tuned for Danger, they were too stressed because they thought that the world was ending. But then 2000, the
Oh
Y2K
my God,
happened.
Y2K.
Y2K happened, and they were like,
Y2K.
oh, we're all here. We're still fine. Okay, we can start making good games.
That's
Too young.
amazing.
I'm too young to remember Y2K.
So that's my theory. This is why they started like popping, like Message on Dimension, Treasure at Royal Tower, Final Scene. They started like, let's go, let's go. We got it. We got the formula here. So yeah, so Secret Skinky Original, it's like it's the first try. They did what they did, and looking from the eyes of someone in 2021, it's a no. But they did what they had to do. They put their foot in there in the door. So I appreciate that. This is why I think they should have never remastered it. They should have left Secret Skinky Original where it was, as the first step in a series of good games, amazing games. And they remastered it for what? It didn't do much. In fact, I feel like people would rather play the original one over the Secret Skinky remastered. I said it. I said it. Even if they had to change this, they would change this over playing remastered. I said what I said. So this is why I say that original, I would give it a 4 out of 10. A Secret Skinky remaster can go straight to 2.
It can go in the garbage can. Give your opinion, and then I'll give mine, and then yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So for its time back in the 90s, I think that Secrets Can Kill Remastered did a great job as like the start, like Tina was saying, for Nancy Drew. I think that it empowered women, and even like that news article said, like the woman that played it and she didn't think she would have fun, she completely dismissed it. She was throwing shade like crazy. She was like mentioning that she stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the morning, like just looking at all the clues on the bulletin boards. More power to her too for having the patience for that. Like seriously, I also thought the original's ending was iconic. Like Tina was saying, Nancy with a gun, so iconic. I mean, Tina, right? I mean, you even said it yourself in the beginning, like giving Nancy that gun and giving her the power to over Mitch Dillon in the end. Like, oh my God, right?
That's why I said 4. It's a 4.
Yeah, that was the 4 points. I'm just kidding.
That's it.
But yeah, I do thought that ending itself was very iconic. I thought the original I really liked the animations of the characters in the original too. Like if Her Interactive just kept 2D animations for the characters, I wouldn't have minded. I mean I love the 3D animations and 3D models of the real of the modern characters, but they seemed, I mean I feel like the 2D characters were more attractive than the 3D characters. But in terms of just the original standing on its own, I think for its time it did a good job. I think that the story, even if Mitch wasn't in the story, he was still eluded pretty heavily. Could the 90s version have been better? Yeah, it could have been, but for a game that was starting Her Interactive out, especially with their engine and everything, I thought it did an okay job. And comparing this game to the modern Nancy Drew games, does it age well? No, it does not. Um, I would have to, I'm gonna be generous here, and I'm gonna give it maybe a 5 out of 10. And the reasons why I'm taking off points is because one, for the music, they could have done a little bit better, and with the music, they could have been done better with giving Jake a better backstory in both games. Some of the characters, in terms of storytelling, they could have like made it more obvious that they were being blackmailed or something. I think that the game could have used more puzzles. That was definitely a struggle. And in terms of like locations, kind of like what Jay was saying, they could have made the locations a little bit more obvious and made things a little better. So that's definitely those are like the main 5 points that I've taken off. So definitely a 5 out of 10 for the original. For the remaster, I agree with Tina. I think that I think that it was maybe for being the 80th anniversary of Nancy Drew. I mean, if you're gonna change the game by adding Detective Beach, like that's gonna open the floodgates for a lot of critiques, for lots of criticism, because you are in a way creating a whole. What the fuck were you thinking? Like, I'm at a loss of words right now. Like, it's just there's so much they could have done better with that whole storyline, with that whole like incorporation of just everything. This was right after Trail the Twister. I mean, they had so many opportunities to improve things and to just make things a lot better, and they kind of just like you were both saying, they just improved the graphics and that was it. But and like I said before, I mean, they could have easily have done something better instead of just adding Detective Beach. I really, I mean, we came you went I mean, we all came up with like way better ideas that probably would have costing them that much in development as well. So my overall score for the remaster would probably be a 3. And that's generous, 3 out of 10, just because in terms of graphics, they did a good job. And, going into Maxine's diner, hearing that Phantom of Venice music all over again, giving me vibes of Enrico Tazza and all our fantastic Scopa card games. Yeah, no, I definitely I give it a 3 out of 10, and I'm definitely firm on that score. And like I said, that's even being generous. I agree with Tina. They probably should have happy 80th anniversary to Nancy Drew, but at the same time, maybe Secrets Can Kill was best left in the past. I mean, I would have been more excited to see a Stay Tuned for Danger remaster. I mean, or even Message in a Haunted Mansion. I definitely think that Secrets Can Kill should have stayed in the 90s.
Who knows if they'll remaster the second one or the third one, because the 100-year anniversary for the books is in 10 years.
That
So
would be amazing.
Oh,
We'll
we'll
see.
see. We'll see. I mean, given her attractive state right now, we
they
will
need the 10
see.
years just to
We'll
make it.
see. But I just want to point out before we go in, I forgot to mention a few things. I'm glad that they got rid of the whole like looking up and down.
Oh my
Yes,
god,
I
yes.
forgot to mention it. I'm not proud of myself right now, but yes, I'm glad they got rid of that. It was so useless. And also, I love the fact that we did knock out the original one for having 2D characters. Wasn't like a deal breaker or something, because I know that a lot of people find this distracting, but I love the fact that we can get past the 2D characters on the 3D background.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are games that do that, like Paper
Yeah.
Mario. I don't know if either of you are familiar with that, but Paper Mario does a great job at that. 2D characters on a 3D background. Another series of games that we don't really talk about, but there's so many games that do that, and I feel like it's an art style of its own.
Yeah.
Very stylized way to make a game. And I mean, I don't know about you both, but I definitely wouldn't have minded if they continued that art style. It gives me Disney vibes, like 2D Disney animation.
Oh yeah.
Um, that's kind of where I kind of like have perceive it at least. But yeah, Tina,
I
that's a
feel
great
like we
point.
would have been in the minority here. Probably in the minority here. Like I feel like most people are glad to have gotten the 3D characters because
Oh,
it is
100%.
like less distracting. But if they kept it 2D, I'd be like, oh, I still like it. A game is a game. A style is a style. Let's go for it. Let's go.
2D characters are also more expressive too. It's easier to animate them, especially when it comes to like facial reactions and voice acting and stuff like that. But I agree with you 100%. Like, and I mean, we're all gamers at some capacity. We've all seen 2D games, 3D games. I completely agree with you though. I thought the choice for the 2D characters in the 3D world definitely it made the game feel more stylized. And there's definitely, I mean, sometimes have either of you heard of the Uncanny Valley?
Yes, and I've seen some cursed Uncanny Valley things.
I feel like some Nancy Drew characters go into that scenario. I'm not going to say which ones, but I feel like some Nancy Drew characters are a little cringy. Um, I mean, Daryl Gray, perfect example.
Oh, Daryl Gray. Oh my gosh. Again, rest in peace, my man. You poor thing.
But yeah, I mean, I don't mind the 2D character models at all. I think they were very stylized, and I think they age well too, especially because of the fact that they're ageless. I mean, it's a style. It's a cartoony approach. It's very like, it's one of the reasons why we keep watching the same like cartoon Disney movies to this day. I mean, and they're just remastered in HD or something, but like I feel like they're timeless. But I agree with you, like the 3D models are very good. Some of the 3D models are great and they look fantastic, and I'm definitely glad that her interactive, like you were saying, Tina, like gave us the 3D option.
Okay, I think we need to move on because I feel like Jade is like
It's like
she
stirring.
no
She's like,
she I think she's like sleeping on her chair right now.
No, I was just letting y'all talk.
hey, let's hear it. What's your opinion?
I was gonna randomly interject saying, "Well, I disagree," but I actually didn't disagree as a joke, and I just couldn't.
Object.
I couldn't find the right comedic timing, so I just kind of sat here trying to figure out when to do it, and then
You
it
want to just do it now and just
I object. I hate the 2D characters, and I think they can rot. No,
That's beautiful. It's amazing.
I really wanted to do that, but I was like, nah, they're making good points. I don't want to interrupt them. I really don't have anything to add. I agree with both of your ratings. I probably wouldn't. I haven't played the original, so I can't rate it that high. So it'd be on the lower end for me, and I didn't really care for the remastered personally because I kept getting lost. But and there's just
Nancy's
a
still stuck
lot.
in the school. Oh, sorry.
She's still stuck in the school in my game. Yeah, I have a habit of not finishing games too because I can't get out, and that was one of them. But especially since I have ADHD, it's rough.
Oh,
So I probably would give them like 2s and 3s, honestly, for me personally. Just because of one, I haven't played the original and I've only played the remastered, and it's okay. There's other games I prefer over it, and I'm sure other people don't like the games that I like. So it'll be interesting
oh,
to see.
yes. We'll be talking about all the
Oh,
games, don't you worry.
yeah. The Real Housewives of River Heights would like to give a special shout out to Sarah, our graphic designer and social media manager, and Yandima for the intro and outro. And we also want to give a special thanks to our special guest for joining us today on our first episode. If you want to shout out any social medias, anything that you do, anything crazy going on that you're promoting, feel free to do now.
Yeah, I want to thank you both so much, Tina and Jade. Thank you for having me as part of your Nancy Drew podcast. I'm honored to be here, and if you would ever like me, if you ever like Miss Kate Foley to come back, I am more than ready to take time away from Kits, away from home, to just to come on in and kiki about the Nancy Drew universe. Always ready. But for those of you that would like to follow me, I'm also the Italian Gamer Joe on Twitch, and you can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Italian Gamer Joe, all one word. But yeah, once again, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I'm honored to be able to kiki about the Nancy Drew community and the universe of these games, and what not a great way to do it, and by starting it off with Secrets Can Kill. It's such a like it's we're very, as you can see, we all have very passionate opinions about it.
Mhm.
So thank you again. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you for being here with us. It's been great. It's been great conversations that we've had, definitely. Tina, do you have anything you'd like to promote?
Yes, so I would like to promote my Twitch channel, which is Tina Balducci. I mean, I'm Tina Balducci everywhere, but you can follow me on Twitch which I stream games. I mean, of course, I stream games, but I stream random games, like not just Nancy Drew, but also other games, sometimes retro games. So if you like that sort of stuff, follow me on there. I also have a YouTube channel, Tina Balducci, where I put my VODs. Go on there, you can see a whole bunch of streams, past streams, which I would recommend to check out. If you love Nancy Drew and you love drinking games, I put on there our past drinking game big event where I streamed Phantom Venice and I dressed up as Punchy LaRue and I called myself Pussy LaRue. Also, Kate Foley was on there too. So if you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'm also on Twitter, but don't follow me on Twitter because I'm not active.
Love it. All right. As for me, Jade, I have an Instagram. I am a digital artist. I also do glass paintings and things like that. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on my Facebook page. And my Instagram, my art Instagram is Haley Rain Art. The link for that will be in the description. But feel free to follow. Maybe one day I'll do Twitch, but as of right now, my computer cannot do that.
You can follow us on Twitter at RHO River Heights. And also on Instagram, Real Housewives of River Heights. You can follow us on all of the social media. We love having you there.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did it. And I didn't puke once. Yeah.
Yay!